Damn
these Biloxi blues. It happens every night.
Every old night.
And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
Nope.
The summer heat never treats me kind. It
Leaves trouble on my mind.
So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll
See you at
another time. This highway does not know my name, and I don't care.
Nope.
No, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good
Right to the
tires
hook
and a
right
spare.
here.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live. Not so live from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful southern Middle Tennessee. And it's good to be back in southern Middle Tennessee after being in the land of Wisconsin for a couple days for the MPFL up there in the MPFL studios, Fix Production Studios. And this is the podcast for February the 4th, Monday, February the 4th. And we've clicked on by into another month, you bunch of low-lifers. You bunch of low-lifing son of a guns out there. Hope you're doing well. And if you are wondering, like this is your first time and you're like, what? And this insulting, what did he just call us? You're a low-lifer. That is what the listeners of this program refer to themselves. That's what I am. I'm a low-lifer. Because of the people of this show. We're all in this together, man. Even if you didn't intentionally mean to be here, you're now a lowlifer. I'm sorry, it just happens. It's very contagious. It's very contagious from what I hear. So welcome, lowlifers, new and old. Appreciate y'all joining. Got lots of things to talk about. Got a great guest, but I want to start the show today on a little bit of a somber note. The bass fishing community is very tight-knit for all the drama and all the crazy that goes on. It is a very tight-knit community, and one of our own is very much going through it right now. And Sonar, many of y'all know Miles Berghoff, and he's been around a long time, man. He and I we've ran parallels in the industry for a long time. We're around the same age. He's had TV shows. He's been on the FLW tour. He has fished the Bassmaster Opens. He's just been around for a very long time. He used to work for bassfan.com doing a lot of different things. He's just invested himself in the sport of bass fishing for a long time. Very, very, very good human being. Great guy. And him and his lovely bride they have a baby girl, Riley. And I just got this news right as MPFL was winding down. I started seeing this, hearing this, and Riley has been diagnosed with something called neuroblastoma. And sweet little girl, smile that can absolutely just light the world up. And, that's something as a parent, you never want to hear that your child is going to fight something as terrible as anything to do with cancer. And the fishing community has rallied around him. I was able to talk to Miles and I texted a little bit. I reached out. I want to do something through the show. I want to, the lowlifers are a rowdy bunch and they're a loyal bunch. And I think together we can certainly help this family. They've got a GoFundMe going. And right now they are, as I record this, they're at St. Jude's. They just got there. They are fixing to begin this battle, and they're in the best place for the best care for sweet Riley. But that's not easy. That's not easy. It's not inexpensive to live away from home like that. They have no idea how long any of this will take, and only time will tell. But I do know that the fishing community they've rallied. This GoFundMe has raised a lot of money, and that's fine. GoFundMe, my only issue with GoFundMe sometimes is they do take a percentage. So Miles and his family, they're not going to get all of it. They're going to get a lot of it. Don't get me wrong. And I think it's up around like over $80,000 now. Incredible, man. Incredible. The fishing community is amazing. So Miles made a video about this. It's on his YouTube channel. Go watch it. Go look at his social posts. But the Triple Threat and I, Marissa D, we've been talking about this. We're going to try to do something with you low-lifers. So be paying attention to my social media this week. And then maybe next week we talk about this. Kind of let the dust settle. See what they need. See what they need over there. But man, you've got to eat out every meal when you're living in a city that is you're not home. You're going to be eating out a lot. You're going to need, they may have hotel expenses. There are a lot of things, and I know, listen, that money from the GoFundMe is great, but there are lots of other ways I think we can help. And right now, they just need your thoughts and your prayers, good vibes, whatever you want to send their way. Trust me, they need it. They're going to fight. And Sweet Riley deserves all the support she's getting. And Miles is one of the good guys. He is certainly one of the good guys. And man, as a father, as a girl dad as well, I just can't imagine what they're going through with that sweet baby. So, hate to, it's a reality that we like to have a lot of fun on this show, and we're going to have fun today. But it's hard not to just, your heart goes out to Miles and his wife Katie and everything that they're going through. But we'll figure something out. We're going to work on that. We want to do something beyond what's going on and something from the low lifers. So got some ideas. My wife is, as you know, the Triple Threat is very creative. She has a lot of good ideas, and we've talked about it a lot today. And so stay tuned on that. Again, let the dust settle. They've got a lot going on. This is very fresh news, and thinking about Miles and his family right now. Also, I got to say, again, it's crazy. This bass fishing community, it's big, but it's also very small. And when tragedy strikes, it's just, I feel like it's, who it happens to, even if you don't know them. Like I know Miles, the young man from WKU that passed away in a boating accident practicing for the event there on Lake Murray, and Jonathan Bryan going bass fishing, man. He's going bass fishing, has a boat wreck, and is no longer with us, and that's just brutal, dude. It's just such a reminder. We get caught up in all the things. Like I said, we'll talk about bass fishing tournament craziness this week on this show, and like we always do, but it's just it's a real stark reminder that this thing is short. And again, as a parent, I can't imagine getting that news when my little boy went to go fishing and he didn't come home. I can't imagine that. So my heart goes out to his family, to his teammates, to everybody in that college fishing community. I was when I was in college, and I've told this story many times, but when I was in college, I really got a wake-up call. The water can, it's where I go to find peace, but it can also be very dangerous. It can. And I was down on the Tennessee River, and I happened to come across a boat that had capsized. It's a whole story, and I don't really know that I've ever told the full thing on LBL, but I saw firsthand that day at 19 years old what it can do, and I saved a man by the name of Robert Justice, and his partner had passed away, and I saw that firsthand, man, what the water can do, and it changed me. It changed me forever. I have such an immense respect for what can happen, and you need to be wearing your life jacket. You need to pay attention to things like wind advisories, fog advisories. Like, we're all very fragile in the grand scheme of things. So it's tragic, man. It's makes me want to puke. It does, because there are so many good things going on in this fishing world right now. But man, that one, those two have got me. There's no doubt about it. But thoughts and prayers to both of those families, and goodness gracious, it's all I can say. It's just this week was so positive. MPFL was so good, and you had the Bassmaster Open, Scott Martin breaking records, and so many crazy things happening in the sport. And then these two stories really, just really got me. But want to open with that today. Appreciate y'all listening, and we move on. We're going to move on, and thoughts and prayers to all those folks. All right, that Bassmaster Open, I got to say, Lord have mercy. Scott Martin, Scotty Too Hottie, as I have referred to him for so many years, much to his disappointment in life. But Scott gets a big win in Clewiston at the marina named after his father down there, defending the home turf, 30-pound average. Breaks the 3-day record set by Byron Velvick, I believe, back at Clear Lake, and I was young. A lot younger than I am now when that happened, but I think Byron had a 3-day total around 80 something, around that weight range, and incredible, man. Lake Okeechobee, to see those kind of weights, and I know Lake Okeechobee, they made it look easier than it is. I several friends that were in the event. It wasn't a cakewalk. It's not the Lake Okeechobee of old, even though it does kick out huge weights. It does have the big bass still swimming around in it, but there's not as much vegetation. The water's crazy high. So many things have changed with the Big O, but man, I watching some of the clips, I didn't get to see Ronnie and Greg Hackney's coverage because I was doing my own with Fat Cat in the MPFL studios there. But the number one thing I miss about fishing pro tournaments, especially the FLW Tour, is that Okeechobee kickoff. We used to go there a lot, and I had some success at Okeechobee. I've always kind of jobbed with that lake. I enjoy the challenge of trying to unlock that giant body of water, and it's just the fish move in and out. You hear them. These are fresh fish. These are fish that just moved in off the lake. There's a different wave coming in, and it was so cool. Texting back and forth with Ronnie Moore and talking about, well, Scott's catching like 1 and 2 pounders early, and then once it heats up a little bit, he catches 2 9s and a 7, and that's how Florida rolls, man. You can go down one stretch and catch little ones, and when it warms up a little bit, those big ones start biting. It's just a magical place. Okeechobee is a magical place. It is a legendary fishery, and it deserves to always be one of those greatest bass fishing lakes. Dude, you can see it on the freaking weather map, right? Like that's what my dad used to say. It's the Big O. It's the Big O. And, Scott and his family, of course, just, legends on the lake down there, but he also is fighting for the lake. They need some government assistance. The water levels are all crazy. The grass is being destroyed on the lake, and if they don't do something, unfortunately, I'm afraid that Okeechobee won't be what we've always known it. And man, seeing some of the pictures, like over 100 boats in one big flat, because all the fish are ganged up in a couple, 2 or 3 different areas, which is not just too different than it's always been, but there was so much grass that didn't really matter. There was a lot for everybody to fish, but everybody was on top of each other for the most part, and that was very challenging. 225 boats following the Toyota Series. Those fish are getting hammered, but obviously fresh waves moving up, and the guys caught them very good. But Okeechobee, just one of those places that I always think about, January, February, March. You want to be down there. It's cold here. You get down there, you hear the birds. You got the sun on your back. You're seeing gators and those big dadgum largemouth swimming around everywhere, eating your cricket. Phew. I miss it, man. I miss it. So those clips that I got to see, awesome. I'm sure so many of y'all watched that live coverage as well. Shame on you if you weren't watching MPFL, though. Damn it. Fantastic. I don't blame you. 90 pounds. It's incredible. Got to say a huge shout out to my little buddy, Sammy George. He made the top 10. Also, Easton Fothergill from LBL this fall, the college bracket champ going to the Classic. He made his first Bassmaster Open top 10. His college roommate as well, Bo Browning, Stephen Browning's son, made it as well. It's a youth movement, man. There's a major youth movement. That's one of the topics of this podcast this week. You're going to hear that a lot, but there's a major youth movement happening, and we've seen it. We are seeing it. Whether it be Bassmaster Opens, MPFL, BPT, or the Elite Series, we're seeing it. It is definitely that those younger guys, they are coming in hot, to say the very least. And I want to give one more shout out to Randall Tharp, vintage honey badger. The clips I saw him doing work at Okeechobee, holy cow, that took me back. And, on a week where MLF got hammered by so many different things, still had a good event, but got hammered. Tharp was glad to be down there on one of his home ponds from back in the day, just doing work, and he ends up 3rd place, catches a 10-pounder. Hell of a way to start the EQ season. So Bassmaster Open was on stinking fire. Absolute fantastic tournament down there. And we had us one at Logan Martin too. I'll get to that in just a minute. But first, I want to thank the sponsors. And look, I want to say last week, for some reason, people are like, you talk for 20 minutes about sponsors. And we are lucky to add Gil into the mix, but that's not the case. I've never talked for 20 minutes about sponsors. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do this week. I got a timer right here. Sponsors are important. I'm going to try to keep the sponsor reads to 30 seconds. So 2 minutes. We got 30 seconds each sponsor. I'm going to set a timer. We're going to do this. But the sponsors are very important to this show. This is free content. If you enjoy it, and so many of y'all do, I'm just talking about a few of the negative, just whatevers out there. They're going to be pissed off no matter what. But I do appreciate, I see the ones that support the sponsors of the show. I get emails when the codes get used, and there are a lot of y'all, and I'm grateful for that. But that's what makes this all happen. MacBooks aren't cheap. Equipment's not cheap. Cameras aren't cheap. And hey, look, maybe y'all don't care about lighting and studios and all that, but we're going into the 7th year of this thing. I keep trying to push it to make it better and better and better. And it's still low budget. I'm a one-man band. So sponsors are very important. So I thank y'all for not complaining and listening. And if you don't want to, guess what? Just go boop, 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 boop. Fast forward, get to the other side, and you're done. I did more explaining about why I got to do sponsor reads than actually reading sponsor reads. GilFishing.com. How about that? Gil Fishing. They want to give you a gift just because you're a lowlifer. If you spend $100 on GilFishing.com, maybe get you one of those Fitzroy puffer jackets, as I like to call it. It's a puffer with a hood. It's a hooded puffer. Keeps you very warm. I love it. I wear mine way too much at this point. They got rain suits. They got beanies. They got gloves. They got shoes. They got a little bit of everything. You can use code LBLGIFT to get a free beanie right now just for being a lowlifer and spending $100 at GilFishing.com. 33 seconds right there. How about that? Pro Guide Batteries. ProGuideBatteries.com. That's where you can find all the new Pro Guide lithiums, including the lithium cranking batteries. But you can go old school. You can get that AGM if you want it. 31 series AGM cranking battery is an absolute animal juggernaut to go maybe mix and match. Get you some of the lithium trolling motor batteries and an AGM. You do you. You do you. Set it up the way you want to. You can use code LBL10. They're going to reward you for being a low lifer and give you 10% off at ProGuideBatteries.com. 32 seconds. Moving on. Baitworks.com. Springfield, Missouri's based online tackle. If they ain't got it, you don't need it. But they're the official retailer of the MPFL, and they're the exclusive online retailer for the LOB Power Finesse Jig. It's got LBL, the logo, right there on the package. 7 fish catching colors. Trocar hook. That's custom, finer than frog hair skirt material. You can get it there, and you can use Duncan-10 and let them know you're a lowlifer and get a deal on everything they have at bait-wrx.com. 34 seconds. Ran over a little bit. Last but not least, hang the imaginary banner. Express Boats, Hot Springs, Arkansas. Got that X21 Pro dropped off at Sonar Pros. Getting it rigged out right now. Got the 250 Yamaha shell on the back of that bad boy, pushing it to an amazing hole shot. Great top end speed, 96-inch beam, stable fishing platform, more storage than you can shake a stick at. The X21 Pro LE. Go to a boat show, go to a dealer, go to expressboats.com and check them out. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966. 34 seconds. Moving on. How about that? Here we go. Take that. 20 minutes of sponsor reads my ass. How about that? All right. Now we get in the groove. More MLF woes. Some warranted, some not. They bring so much on themselves, right? We see this time and time again. I guess people missed the memo. Let me back up. It was very obvious that people missed the memo. I remember seeing this at some point during all the 47 press releases about all the changes, and then the other changes that they did back in the offseason. But Apparently, a lot of people missed the fact that they were not going to broadcast the first 2 days of live. All right, some thoughts on this. It's definitely a money-saving tactic, right? You'll see people going, oh, they're completely fine, and it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with money. It's why Marty Stone's gone. It's why they cut Rob Newell's stuff back. It's why they are cutting 2 days. It's why they're cutting anglers, right? Like, bottom line, period, end of story. Things are tight. And I can speak from experience on that because MPFL, we did live coverage all 3 days the first year. The first year, we elected to stop doing that because we saw it as a waste of money. It's hard to tell the story. There are no standings to go off on day one, and you're just out there picking 8 anglers to cover, 10 anglers at the time. We had 10 camera ops. And you're just out there trying to do the best. And Bassmaster does it. And sometimes they hit home runs and sometimes they don't. Because you're just trying to go, oh, well, this guy's a local favorite. This guy's this guy's that. It's tough. It's very tough. Now, I will say MLF does a good job of moving cameras around because of the score tracker based on who's catching them and all that on day one. But so it's twofold. It's financial, and then it's very hard to tell a story. I think they did a piss poor job in letting people know that was coming other than just the press release. And that's kind of how they do things, and that's fine. But whoever runs their social media, maybe I know them. I don't know. I know a lot of people that work there. This is the most tone deaf. Like when Jacob Wheeler kicks off the day with an 8-pounder and you screenshot the score tracker and that's what you give the people when you're not airing it live. And, dude, you are just throwing gas on their fire. And their Facebook was lit, as the kids say, with comments. And normally, dude, there'll be a few squeaky wheels. No, this was all squeaky wheels. 99.99999% of the people were like, hell, I would love to watch it. I would love to watch it. They got beat up for the first 2 days over that, you know. Should have done a better job. And I'm sure somewhere, somebody there was like, we might have should have explained this a little bit better. And then it would have kind of eased some of that. I mean, the good news is, though, it's probably the most interaction they ever had on social, and people clearly wanted to watch it. They were chomping at the bit to watch it. Now, that being said, once they did go live, they started sharing their forward-facing sonar like we did at MPFL last year with a little picture-in-picture deal. And then they started getting killed over that. So they can't win because people were like, we really want to watch. And then they were like, you suck for showing us forward-facing sonar. It was amazing, dude. And I'll say they have a lot bigger fan base than MPFL at the moment still. And regardless of what's going on, and rightfully so, dude. Some of the biggest names in the sport are over there. And some of the biggest names in the sport are over there, and Boyd Duckett, you know. And and it's just amazing that we got, when we rolled that out last fall at Lake Eufaula, just experimenting with that forward-facing sonar coverage, which makes me enjoy it more, to be honest, because I feel like I'm in the boat because I like fishing with forward-facing sonar. Now, look, I'm a meat and potatoes, dock skipping, square billing. Like, I like to be up on the bank. That's cool. I've also offshore fished my entire life using side imaging once it came out, but mapping and, you know, the whole nine, like Tennessee River guy. Y'all know this. But I do like forward-facing. I do. I like to crappie fish with it. I like to catch back. I get just as excited when one bites my crap when I'm looking at him on that as I do whenever I'm flipping a bush, to be honest. But now, I understand why people don't like watching it. From a commentator's standpoint, I watch hours of it. I get it. Especially if the angler's like really dialed in on what he's doing and he's not paying you any attention. You being the viewer and he's not breaking it down, that sucks. It does suck because he's super dialed. But I like watching people catch fish too, so if it makes them catch more fish, entertain me, right? We've discussed all of this on the show. But, dude, in the MPFL, when we rolled it out, people were like, amen, way to jump ahead of this. And then the people to them were like, we hate you. It was incredible, man. It was incredible. So some of the woes are warranted, some not. I saw Andy Morgan, the GOAT, one of the greatest to ever pick up a rod and reel. He made a post. He had missed the 20 cut, and he said, I didn't know that, which it wouldn't have mattered. He didn't make the 20 cut. Top 20 got paid, but they started taking the top 10, and it used to be top 20, to the knockout rounds. So 10 from Group A, 10 from Group B. Keep up. I don't have any poster board to show you. But he's like, just yet another change. And Andy kind of made most of the time, Andy keeps it pretty PC on his social media, gives you updates. He's not trying to stir the pot necessarily. And he was very outspoken about changes and things. And then there were other MLF pros in the comments. Saw Zach Burge make a post about the live coverage. So did anybody miss live today? And it was just like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. They just can't get out of their own way. And I know there are pros over there, obviously loving life, living big, getting coverage, doing all the things. There are good things happening there. I will say that. But there are a lot of guys fixing to get left out in the cold, as we've discussed. And it's wild times right now with all that, wild times. Now, did they have a good tournament? I didn't get to watch any of it. Shout out to Dustin Connell for just being a freaking animal. Like always, Alton Jones Jr. getting him a top 10. Jesse Wiggins getting him a top 10. Jacob Wheeler getting yet another top 10. He just wakes up in the top 10, I feel like. Drew Gill, a young pro. Don't know a lot about Drew other than his finishes, and he is obviously one of these young guys that is here to stay. My buddy Wesley Strader had a good event out there at Toledo Bend, but it was all live scope from the clips I saw, 99% of it, and from all the griping and moaning and complaining that I saw. So Godspeed, MLF, with everything. MPFL. We did not have very much live scoping. Now, I will say second place pro Baitworks Brock Biela, Triple B himself, made a big charge up the leaderboard, ends up in second place. He was shallow scoping, as he called it, but he was great on camera, breaking down what he was doing for the folks at home and for us in the studio. And it was not monotonous and it was not boring, and he caught a lot of fish. But we had us an old school square billing, chatterbaiting, jig flipping, muddy water spinnerbait fest on the Coosa River at Logan Martin, Oxford, Alabama. And I got to commentate. If y'all didn't get to see it, shame on you. But I got to commentate David Fritz throwing a crankbait on day 2. He was in the top 10. And at one point, I just had to look at Fat Cat, and I was almost just, when we were like an hour in to the first day of coverage there on day 2, just blown away, man. This life is a wild ride. It is a wild, wild ride, and it is one that I just cannot say thank you enough to whoever. All you low-lifers, I mean, goodness gracious, for giving me these opportunities. 12-year-old me, I was just kept pinching myself over and over and over. And then I'm reading the standings on Showdown Saturday, the final day, and it's like I'm calling out Tommy Biffle's name. Like, what? But we had us an old school derb, and Fritz got him a check. Tommy Biffle got him a check. Veteran pros like Pete Pons were in the mix. We had some surprises. John Cox, hang on now. Got that old Cox watch. Finished out of the dadgum money. Didn't get him a check. Patrick Walters didn't get him a check. Now, Drew Cook, who I had on the show last week, made a big jump on the 20-pound bag the last day and snuck up there right outside of the top 10. But it was all about Will Harkins, the young Georgia pro who absolutely crushed it last year. Brock Biela fishes second. We got a lot of new faces. We had some legends in the mix. Got to commentate Kyle Welcher, have him break it down. So many of y'all joined us, though. I got messages. I saw the comments, saw the feedback, and I appreciate everybody that gave us a chance. They're trying new things from a production standpoint. Very cool. The multi-view, it was kind of a scary week anytime you try something new, but it all went very smooth, and it was a lot of fun. So everybody that watched, thank you so very much, and thankful for the MPFL giving me the opportunity to do that another year. Every time Fat Cat and I do one, we say the same thing. We did it again. We got to do it again, and that's how I view it. Life is very good right now, and it is it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I'm blessed and grateful. That is for sure. A lot of new names though, and somebody very familiar to the MPFL like Luis Fernandez coming in in the top 5. And Jesse Millsaps, who fished with us the first couple of years, he's back this year. He got another top 10. Todd Goad, the Progressive Angler of the Year from last year, If you're not keeping up with that dude and his stats, my goodness gracious, shame on you. He had 6 top 10s last year. Well, guess what? We added 50 more anglers to the field, some more stone cold fish catchers, and guess what Todd Goad went out and did? Yeah, his 7th top 10 in a row. 7th top 10 in a row. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. But speaking of incredible, the old school derby that we did have was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure. But a young soul was able to win it. This young man is a very versatile angler, and he's a problem. He's a problem in the bass fishing universe, but in a good way. I think he's a legend in the making as long as he wants to do it. We started covering him last year. Let me run you through a stat line right here. Okay. First event at Pickwick, 28th place. Man, whatever. Second one at Wright Patman, 22nd. Whatever. Just right outside of check range. We ain't even talking about him. We had heard a lot about him, but we're not talking about him yet. Go to Santee Cooper. He's on live with us. Boom. Finishes 3rd behind Patrick Walters and Todd Goad. We go to Saginaw Bay. Boom. 7th place. We go to Lake Eufaula in September. Ties for the win with Luis Fernandez, loses the tiebreaker due to the biggest single-day bag. Finishes 2nd. We go to Lake Lanier. He's leading it after day 1 with a 6-12 spotted bass, behemoth spotted bass on his home lake, doing what he does, giving us some dance moves, doing the Harky as we call it. And then Patrick Walters, Dream Crusher, beats him there, finishes 2nd. So this young man, 4 top 10s in the year, finishes the season 2nd place in the Progressive Angler of the Year race in his first year fishing any of those lakes other than Lanier. Okay. Fast forward 2024, first event, blows the doors off, fishes out of his comfort zone. He's a self-proclaimed finesse fishing fanatic. He throws a crankbait in the mud, catches some on a jig, and goes on to win $100,000 in a shield in his 2nd year at 22 years old. He is an old soul, and I'm grateful he is here today to tell his story and for all you low-lifers to get to know him a little bit better, because you better get your pen out, write this boy's name down. Trust me on that. Ladies and gentlemen, Will Harkins. All right, here we go. As promised, this newly crowned NPFL champion, a young man that's 22 years old. But trust me when I tell you, I look right at this camera, ladies and gentlemen, low-lifers of all ages. This man right here is a veteran, Will Harkins. Welcome to Low Budget Live, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Man, I am ecstatic. You know, Fat Cat and I like to give you a hard time because you are all business. You're a humble young man. But you're confident in your abilities. But you are all business. And at Lake Eufaula last year, when you came up, you didn't really come up short. Let's be honest. I mean, you tied for the win, but you lose the tiebreaker. You gave us a little dance move, and we named it the Harky because we're idiots. And you're like, you get on live, you go, I don't know what the Harky is. Has anybody told you other than me, Fat Cat and Big Al, to do the Harky? Do you hear that?
Oh yeah, all the time now. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, guys.
So, because you don't strike me as a dancer, but I'm like, dude, look at this. Will's cutting loose, man.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not a dancer at all.
Well, we love it. We love to give you a hard time about it because it's dude, the coolest thing about live for us is, and like most of the fans at home, is when you do get to see somebody on that run like you're on right now, but you get to see their decisions as the day goes on, but then you get to see that emotional roller coaster too, right?
Yes.
Because you get to see the little Harky dance, but also like yesterday for us, of course, we're recording this on Sunday afternoon. But yesterday on Showdown Saturday, you blasted them early. You got on and you could see that confidence, and it was that nail in the coffin type mentality. And then you went through this crazy lull on live, and we got to see you kind of processing it. And I wanted to ask you, was there a time where you thought you had lost it? Because you had a 3-pound lead.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I thought there was no chance. I left the door wide open, only having 13, 14 pounds. So definitely did not have the afternoon quality that I had the last 2 days. But I think I just ended up running out of fish, running out of places.
Okay.
Was the biggest thing.
Well, yeah, because we heard you, and it's, again, from our Wizard of Oz view, it's like he doesn't know that he's squarely in control of this because you can't see the score. But at the same time, like in the afternoon before we went off live, you seemed to me like you were a little bit concerned and kind of second guessing.
Absolutely, yeah. Each day it was kind of a real early morning bite and then a real late bite.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really banking on that afternoon bite, and I really thought, to have 2 or 3 more chances at some better quality fish. But not having that, it was definitely stressful, because then you start thinking about running back through Santee and Eufaula and Lanier, and it's just like, here we go again.
Well, that was going to be one of my next questions, is for the folks that don't keep up like they should, and shame on you. I'm shaking my finger at you if you don't. So last year, I want to run you through Will's rookie year. Okay, he was 21. He's 22 now. His rookie year starts at Pickwick, 28th place, just outside the money. Of course, we got a 76 angler field, but he's up there in the top, quarter of the field, outside of the money. 22nd, improves it right, Pat, to 22nd, still misses a check. Then he goes on a run that is insane. He goes third at Santee Cooper behind Patrick Walters and Mr. Todd Goad. Then he goes 7th, second. But one of those seconds, he ties for first place with Luis Fernandez and loses in the tiebreaker. So I talked to you Thursday night here at Logan Martin, and I'm like, how are you processing this? And your confidence level, to me, you were like, I just don't want to be runner up. And hopefully, you said this to me before we hung up, you said, hopefully I can close this thing out. And you weren't leading the event then. And I hung up, and in fact, Kat and I are looking at each other. I said, that's a scary young man this week. Like I think he's certainly figured it out. So you were, for good reason, worried. Nobody wants to be the bridesmaid that many times.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No. And going into last year, if you had told me second, third, whatever, yeah, I would have been like, yeah, please.
Of course. Yeah. Were you kidding me?
Yeah. But then you get those emotions, and it's like, dang it, that it sucks. Especially that tiebreaker, happy for Louis, how it all worked out.
Man.
But yeah, to finally, I had one goal this week, and that was to win, to close one out finally. So after having, that first day, and like practice wise, I spent 2 days offshore, first 2 days offshore. Yeah. I spent 1 day of pre-practice here. Never seen the place before. Spent the first 2 days offshore, was not clicking.
That's your deal, not to cut you off, but that's your deal. You like offshore, you like finesse. That's in Will's.
Absolutely.
That's in your crosshairs right there.
Oh, yeah. And pre-practice, you could catch 50 fish a day out there scoping, no problem. It was insane. So I was really excited coming into this event. But after that first 2 days, I was like, man, I've got to do something to survive. So I had one good day of practice that third day, and I fished for about an hour, and then I took the rest of the day and sat in the seat and rode the entire lake, just marking whatever looked good. So every day was such a learning process in the tournament, because it was all water I hadn't fished before, just, what had looked good.
So you kept expanding as the event was going on, and we kind of saw that from the live coverage. Mm-hmm. Now, we did say you went back to your cat bank, as I called it, and it turned into your duck bank. You had pets there.
Yes,
showed up on Showdown Saturday, but it looked like you recycled that on Showdown Saturday and were able to catch some fish there like you did on Friday as well. But you ditched the finesse fishing. You're like, that's another thing. When I talked to you on Thursday night, you said, I'm having to throw that stupid jig some. You don't like a jig, which makes me laugh, because I obviously big jig guy. Oh, yeah. And the square bill, you're like, man, I don't even have that many square bills. This is not my deal. But it was like watching somebody that was all they had ever done. And I think that speaks to your versatility and your talent, because we saw the finishes last year, and you couldn't have finished second in the Progressive Angler of the Year race to a Todd Goad that had a top 10 at every event last year, had you not been versatile. My question is this. So for you, dude, you say, finally, I finally got that big win.
Yeah.
Finally. And there are guys out there probably listening, like 50 years old, going, finally, what's this kid talking about? Finally. But you're right. When you get on the doorstep of a win in a major event like this, and you don't get to open the door, go through it, and close the door real fast. Sometimes you never know when those chances might come back. I mean, you and I talked about that some last year, but dude, we kept saying, hey, you're going to have more chances. You're going to have more chances. And then we shoot the fireworks off. Hey, it's event number 1 of the 2024 season, and you get a win. But I do have to ask you, are you feeling that role that you're on? Kind of like Kyle Welcher's on one right now, right? From the Bassmaster Elite Series last year, started his year off again, 2024 with us.
Oh yeah.
Top 10. Are you feeling that? Like your decision makings, do you feel like you are, I mean, obviously you're making a good decision, but do you feel that confidence?
It's such a day-to-day thing, you know. You just got to go out there and focus on the little things. You perfect those little things, you know, it turns into these better finishes and all. So you just got to put your time in. You know, I watch probably 30 hours of videos per event, you know, and just research. And so make sure all those little things are covered. So I think if you do that, the finishes will follow. But as far as, you know, going on a roll, I know at some point we're going to have a down tournament. That's how fishing works. But it's been
like a 12th or something. You're going to finish like 12th.
Yeah, that would be nice.
If that's the worst one you do this year, we're handing you another shield with progressive AOI on it, buddy.
Yeah, no, that's the next goal for sure. But yeah, I mean, even coming into this year, looking at the names that jumped on, I was like, dude, there's no way. Yeah, it just got 5 times harder. But to get it knocked out on the first one, it still hasn't sunk in. You know, it's crazy.
Well, and let's talk about that. So we've got some stone cold fish catchers in the MPFL since 2021. We've known that. You were one of them that we kind of introduced to the bass fishing world. We're grateful that you let us tell your story. This is kind of where you decided to launch your professional career. Now, this year we had 76 boats last year. We had 52 this year, or 50 or so new anglers, and some of them, you know, you can throw the word legend out there for sure. And a couple of those legends were in contention after day one. Then you've got these legends in the making, like a Kyle Welcher, like a Drew Cook, the Patrick Walters, who did indeed crush Will Harkins' dreams 2 events last year. But man, you were trading licks with him, no doubt, and we got to see that talent level is there. But so for me, that's something Fat Cat and I talked about as well. I know what that means. It means a lot to me to see you get that win in that field. That's a bigger field, right? And I don't want to say nobody's criticizing or judging, like, that's a smaller field. Yeah, he had a great year. But for me, it's like, I've been telling y'all, this young man right here's the deal. And then for you to beat, you look down that list, man. Lord have mercy. I know you got to be proud. I know you're a very humble young man, but I know when you look down through there and you got to go, oh boy, what did I just do? Because it's impressive, dude.
Absolutely. No, it's definitely a little sweeter than it would have been last year.
Yes, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, a little bit sweeter,
Oh yeah.
And you ended up, of course, Lewis. Shout out to the Bass Warrior. He big-eyed him a little bit in Way Live Tracker. He was giving us a heart attack because we're like, oh no, he's gonna. Oh, is he gonna do this again? What's fixing to happen? And he was a little light. And look, great event, ends up in the top 5. But let's talk about one of your competitors, a fellow young angler, Brock Bila, Triple B as I call him, Baitworks Brock Bila. I've known Brock for a couple years now. Fantastic young man like yourself. But you told a story on live that you guys are connected through a fishing partner, and it blew my mind. Talk about that. Like, so the guy that you end up beating, you're tied to.
Yeah, no, that was super cool. You know, coming into the event and seeing his name, I recognized him. He was my high school partner's. Kobe Thompson was my high school partner.
Okay.
We fished a few years together. So he went up to Drury University to fish collegiately, and they were teammates up there together. So I had already, you know, heard about him and all. So it was kind of cool seeing that and having Brock up there too. So he's a phenomenal angler. You know, he will hoist a shield one day. He is very in tune with a lot of those things. So excited to see him up there and doing well. So some of these young guys, you know, showing out a little bit against some of these other guys. That was cool.
Well, let's talk about that. The age thing. Bass fishing has always been a sport that oh man, it doesn't matter if you're 80 or you're 8 years old, you can get out there and catch a bass, and you can. But it does. You look at what happened with us. You got yourself, Isaac Peavy House. You've got Brock in the mix. We've got young Hayden Hammond fishing with us. You got Hunter Sales. I'm probably leaving out a lot, but we've got so many young anglers fishing with us that do well. But then you look at the Bassmaster Opens and you look at the top 10 from down at Okeechobee. It's a lot of youth in there, a lot of college anglers mixing it up. Then you look at the BPT right now, it's the same thing. There's a lot of young anglers. So do you think, and I mean, I think the answer is obvious for a lot of reasons, but youth's got an advantage right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Especially, I would say on the technology side of things, but really even Okeechobee and Logan Martin, those really didn't play nearly as much. So you can't just blame it all on all technology and the youth having it. No, they are phenomenal anglers, no matter how you're catching them. So I think a lot of it is just that fire of that youth, I guess, get out there and just want to win. So yeah, youth definitely has a big advantage right now. And just the world's at their fingertips, all the research, all the YouTube, there's 100 million resources out there for us to use. So I think you couple that with that fire and you've got the results that you're seeing.
No doubt about it. And I think the numbers are on your side, not only from the years that are ahead of you, but from the standpoint of there's so many of you guys in that age class. And this is something my good friend of mine and I were talking about last night. When I was in high school many years ago, many years ago, there was no high school fishing. I was made fun of for being a tournament bass fisherman by people I knew because I stopped playing sports by like my sophomore year, and I was all about tournaments. My dad and I fished tournaments, and and the only thing I had to fish was really like the old Redmans or became BFLs as a co-angler, and then Fishers of Men tournament trail with my dad and things like that. We fished bass clubs, but I was the only kid. I'd look around and I was like, all the old guys would give me a hard time. Hey, young donk, little donk, whatever, because I was the only one. I knew nobody my age that fished competitively. Then I go to the University of North Alabama, which is now a powerhouse in the college fishing ranks. I knew one dude that fished tournaments. And we would always joke, man, it'd be cool if we had some college, blah, 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 fast forward. And now you guys have, there's middle school, there's high school, there's college, and your age bracket, and we've seen it from the guys like a Jordan Lee, like a Matt Lee, Justin Atkins, Lucas, Shane LaHue, Brandon Cobbs, Trent Palmer. A lot of these guys came out of that college fishing ranks that are now veteran pros. But you guys are ready. Like out of the gate, you're ready. It's used to. It was so funny to me. You're like, man, well, the veterans will beat them because they've been to these places 8 times. You guys know more when you show up than, you know what I mean? Like it's because of your dedication. Like you said, 30 hours of video for each event. That's insane, man.
Oh yeah. No, it's a full-time job kind of on the side. But yeah, man, the college ranks, I truly think that is the hardest level to compete at. I mean, you've got the field size is, 250 boats of these teams, but they are crazy good. I mean, you look at the weights of any college event, even they had one at Clark Hill this last weekend, and it took like 43 pounds or something for 2 days. Like these guys are good and they can catch them. So that really does prepare you for the next level. So I think a lot of guys coming out of the college rank are more pro ready than they actually realize.
No, I would agree with that. So when did because we've covered you out here, you talk about high school angling and things, and kind of, you said, man, it's a lifelong dream, which is, you've been wanting this since a young age, I'm assuming. But when did this dream start for you? Like what triggered it? Did you get it from your dad, from an uncle, from a family member? Like what started this bass fishing obsession that led you to now having 100,000 extra bucks in your bank account in this beautiful Shield and beat some of the biggest names in the sport?
Yeah, so kind of a 2-part story, I guess. So my grandpa kind of got me into it when I was 3. He took me on the lake for the first time. And I had grown up fishing since then. I'd always go to these Thursday old man tournaments.
Okay.
Everyone's 60, 70, 80 years old, just out there. There wouldn't be more than 12 or 15 boats. But I grew up, I fished those every week for years. And so that was fun. But at that point, it never really occurred to me, maybe I can make this a living. So that really kind of occurred come, high school. So 17, 18 years old, my sophomore year, Union County, where I went to high school, made a fishing team. I hopped on, and first year I was terrible. We went to, I think, 3 lakes. I think we sucked it up pretty bad. I didn't know anything. I was new at it. And granted, this was only, 4 or 5 years ago.
I was going to say, Will, that's 5 years. If you're 17, that's 5 years ago when you're like, yeah, it's terrible bass fishing, back in 5 years ago. that's you got ahead of the learning curve at some point, bud.
Oh yeah. So my senior year of high school, I jumped on with Kobe, the guy I was talking about that knows Brock, and they really helped me. We went all over the place and fished. We still weren't great by no means. We won a tournament or 2 here and there, but it wasn't. But they kind of got that fire lit. And so then college fishing came, and then I jumped in, the BFLs. And the first year of the BFLs, I finished second angler of the year. Common theme. And that was like, okay, after that season, I was like, maybe let's try it again. Fished 1 more year of the BFLs, finished 3rd AOY, and had like 3 top 10s or 4 top 10s. I'm like, okay, that's when it really started kicking off, thinking, man, maybe I can do this. And like I said, at the time I had like 4 tackle boxes in the boat. I had 6 rods. Yeah. I didn't, none of that was given, that's all stuff I had to pay for or work for. Bought my first boat. My dad helped me out. So all of that has been self-funded. And so you've got to learn quickly if you want to compete and make the best use of that time. And then even around here, we have these winter trails, and they are like some local sticks who fish.
That Lanier, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Lanier, Chattooga, Hartwell, all these places. So that, like I said, you've got to speed up that learning curve somehow. And so that's where all the research came in, the videos, all that. So it's definitely been a very quick rise, I guess, the last 2 or 3 years. To get to this point. And even last year going in the MPFL, I was like, man, I just don't want to come in last. I wasn't expecting any of that, but so it's been good.
Yeah, it's been really good. And it's been good to be a part of it for us, man. I think it's my favorite thing about the MPFL from year one for us is we've given the bass fishing community, we've introduced some new faces and some new names that haven't been on other trails. I mean, some had, don't get me wrong, like you're saying, BFLs, there were people that knew who Will Harkins was, but last year, man, by event 3 or 4, we're going, what in the world? Like, nobody gave me these notes on a prep sheet that I need to be watching for the Harky to be over. Like, nobody warned me that we're going to be talking about this guy every single event for the last 4 of the season. It was incredible, man. But you're just, dude, again, very humble young man, but you're a bright spot in this industry. And I'm so grateful to know you. I'm grateful that you're on the MPFL. And look, I can't pick favorites. That's not in my job at the MPFL, but I was so excited. It was like in fact, we were the same way. And look, I would have been just as excited for Brock and anybody. It's like when Luis Fernandez won last year, I was let's go, he's my guy. But when you hoisted that trophy, it was, that was a special moment for all of us.
Yeah.
And now there was some uncertainty though, right? Like you considered not coming back this year, right? And doing some other things maybe?
I was pretty set on coming back.
Okay.
Last year I needed to cash checks to come back. If I didn't cash check, I wasn't coming back. Because like I said, I was largely self-funded. So I got into college with a full ride basically. So I used all of my college money to put towards the entry fees.
Okay.
And so once that was up, it was up. So that really helped having those few checks. So then I was like, okay, that solidified coming back. And I think this event certainly solidified the next couple years.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, no, I mean MPFL, it's such the biggest difference in any trail is that family atmosphere. Yes, you feel kind of intimidated seeing some of these names and people, but I mean every other person that you know is fist bumping you, giving you a hug, whatever, like they've known you forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
Yeah, we feel that even on the, working on being on the team there, you feel that. We felt that from day one. And unfortunately, I'm not at the events as much anymore like I was year one, but it was definitely that family atmosphere, boots on the ground. And that's the number one thing I hear, whether it be David Fritz, Tommy Biffle, Patrick Walters last year, John Cox, when they join us and they fish tournaments all over the place for many, many, many years. That's the number one thing you hear the most is they care about the anglers. It's a family feel amongst the anglers, even though it's diehard competition once the bell rings.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But everybody takes care. I mean, look, Brock Vila told a story. Jason Wilson, who's a veteran MPFL pro, Brock he's an old scoper. He's a live scoper, and his graph went out. Jason Wilson on the first day let him borrow a graph, and the kid almost ends up, finishing second. Has a fantastic event with a borrowed graph that Jason's just like, yeah, man, I'm not using it. Here you go. That's the kind of things you hear over. And look, that's not just conducive to the MPFL. It's the bass fishing community as a whole, I feel like, for the most part. But man, our guys, it seems like they take that above and beyond. That's for sure. So what are Will Harkins' long-term goals? Now, a big one is getting that first big win. So we checked that sucker off the box. It's off the list. So what if Will Harkins has a dream in bass fishing list, what's on that list?
Man, that's a good question. Forever it was to win one of these events. So now it's like, I don't know how to go up. I mean, obviously AOI is in my mind the most prestigious. That's the most sought after because that's a year-long thing. That's not a one tournament. So anyone can get on a three-day roll, but it takes a year's worth of work there. So that would definitely be my goal, win AOI one of these years. And honestly, I was always more of a consistent guy. I never was the heavy hitter. So I really surprised myself by, how close some of those wins were and finally getting one. So AOI long-term goal would be great. And then just staying relevant in the industry, making an impact, whether it be, MPFL does an awesome job with all the outreach events.
Yes.
We go to all of those, I hand out bracelets and baits and everything. So just continuing that impact would probably be the biggest goal.
Well,
sure.
And you're very strong in your faith, and we've seen you at so many of those community outreach, and that's another cool thing that the MPFL does on the off day. But every time I'm not on site as much, and we run those pieces that the Twin Visuals crew films, and it's rare. If you guys, no matter what they're doing in community outreach, it's rare that I don't see Will Harkins in those pieces out there either talking to kids, working in the community to help out wherever we go. I see that. And then the next day I see your name way up there in the standings, man. So you're not spending all on the off day working on tackle. You're actually out there trying to do good things, with your platform. And it's very refreshing to see.
Absolutely. No, fishing is such a small part in a big picture. If you're fishing for yourself, you're really not doing anyone a lot of good. So being able to go, and even if it's just making a couple of people smile and making their day, they may not remember you tomorrow. They may not care how you finish or, keep up with bass fishing. But that goodwill that you spread and those smiles is definitely a lot more lasting and refreshing than, the money and the trophies and all. So that's what I encourage everyone to do is just go out and you said, it doesn't have to be much. It can be, just a, hey, what's up? Or, spending 10 minutes with someone. But that impact is certainly more impactful on a bigger scale than the money and the trophy and the finishes.
Amen to that. And dude, it's not hard just to be good to folks, right? Like it's not hard just to be good. And I think with, like you're saying, you're out there especially when you guys are dealing with kids and you're handing out baits, you think back to your early days with your granddad.
Yes.
I mean, some of those kids that we interact with, they might not have that opportunity. So meeting a Will Harkins and him handing them a pack of baits might change their whole path, man. They may discover a love of bass fishing that leads them right where they need to be in life, where they're the next MPFL champion. So I applaud you for always, when there's a call to arms and they're like, hey, this is what we're doing, your name is always on there. Like I said, I always see that Will Harkins, I see that jersey. You're always around those events, man. And look, shout out to the MPFL for doing that. We try to leave. I say I'm not on site. I'm just going to take credit for it. But they leave their mark in every community I feel like that we go to, and they try to do something in a positive light everywhere they go. And it's great that guys, and we have several guys that are always going to be at those events. And you're certainly one of them, man. And then you show up and show out on the water as well. So do you have, let me ask you this, because I know, listen, you're an MPFL pro.
Yeah.
And it's the National Professional Fishing League. This is year 4. But do you ever sit and go, man, I want one of those classic trophies? Do you have, I mean, obviously, dude, bass fishing, like bass fishermen, like that's the crown jewel right now. I know you got a chance at that NPFL crown jewel in a month, the first ever championship. And I think you'll definitely be in the mix there. But do you think like long-term goals, like where does this career head?
Yeah. Once again, that's a great question.
It's a tricky one too. It's a low.
It is. MPFL's got me started. So I don't foresee making a jump anytime soon.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm taking it year by year. Just kind of seeing where the industry heads. A lot of changes have been happening. But like I said, in the next few years, I don't foresee any changes. But I mean, the classic trophy is definitely on every bass fisherman's mind.
Of course.
So I would not be against one bit going over there and
trying to hold that up. Yeah, trying to hold one of those up as well, man. Well, I think as the MPFL, you got in at a great time. I believe in year 3, we've seen kind of this explosion this year, bigger field. And I feel after this event, man, there was so much positivity during the event and immediately after. A lot of fan love. I'll be honest, it feels great. In year 4, the industry is starting to really pay attention, I feel. And we've got Yamaha's going to support us a little bit this year, some service crew. So, and that may seem small to somebody listening out there, one of the low lifers, but that's a big deal for anglers, especially you. You've got one of those Yammer hammers on the back of your boat. But I think that it's you're in it at a good time, and I think this thing is on a trajectory that is, and I don't want this to just seem like an MPFL commercial, but man, it's on the up and up. It's fun. Like this year we've had our, the first couple of years, it was a roller coaster ride, man. But right where we're at now after event 1, headed into this championship, it's a good place to be. And I think for whether anglers young or old, and regardless of your goals, your dreams in the sport of bass fishing, it is a really, really good tournament trail and platform between, and I'll, pat myself on the back, but live coverage, that's a big expenditure for them. And man, we've been able to bring so many anglers to the fishing fans. And it's again, like I'm just grateful to be a part of that. And I'm glad guys like you are as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, if anyone looking to get into the industry, MPFL is a place to start. I don't want to say you can skip some steps, but you definitely can get that notoriety a lot quicker, I feel like, than working through, BFLs, Toyotas, competing in the Opens. That's, in and of itself, a gauntlet too. So definitely, MPFL is great. It's definitely grown. And I feel like if they do stay on this trajectory that they're on, then, it'll be one of the household names for a long time.
I completely agree. And you're right. Not necessarily to skip a step, but like, if you want to throw that entry fee down and you want to see where you stand, especially on a year like this, and you want to see where you stand with, I don't know, some guy that's won a classic named David Fritz, or some guy that's won Bassmaster Angler of the Year last year, and Kyle Welcher, or insert all the other names
Yeah.
here that are so fantastic this year and since 2021 in the league. The Luis Fernandez of the world that we've learned are dangerous with a rod and reel. It's a good place to go and say, all right, let's see where this stacks up. And if you can compete like a Will Harkins and like a Brock Biela have these guys have proven they can, you can win some money along the way too. You got that $100,000. Are you going to buy maybe some dance lessons with that, Will?
I don't know. I need to buy some fishing lessons, really.
What? Now, hang on. Now listen. You can lay that on somebody else, buddy. You're not going to get away with that on LBL. You're not going to get away with that here. Like, the only thing I think you need lessons with is probably your dance moves, but they're still better than mine. The Harky is a craze. It's a TikTok craze. It's got to be.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not even on TikTok or anything, so I don't know.
Thank goodness, stay that way. I'm not either.
Yeah, and I need someone to tell me what it is exactly. I've yet to know the exact moves or whatever.
Listen, we don't know. We just Fat Cat and I. You don't get to watch us because you're always doing work with a rod and reel. We're idiots. Okay. We are idiots. We are self-admitted. We're both, we're not good for each other. Okay. We're friends, in the studio and off. We talk all the time, and he and I are a dangerous combo for idiocy. So when something like that happens, our brains tend to be on the same wavelength, and we both really at the same time, we're like, ooh, what's that? And I dubbed it the Harky, and I don't know why, and I don't know what it was. And it's just, we'll beat a dead horse. Will beat a dead horse.
Yeah, I think it's stuck for sure.
Oh, it's there, bud. You for 30 years from now, I will see you somewhere and be like, do the Harky. I mean, it's just, I'll have a walker, and that's like, trust me, it'll never go away. I am that dad in life. I will wear it out.
I know. No, even the camera guy, every time I'd catch a fish, he's like, do the Harky for everyone. Do it. I'm like, dude.
Come on. Like, I'm trying to win $100,000, dude. Like, I'm trying to win $100,000.
I know. Catch a 12-incher to start the day off. Do the Harky. You got one. It's like, golly.
You've derailed me. Oh my goodness, that's so great, man. And because I keep telling back at him, like, Will's pretty straight-laced cat. Yeah. I said, and he's focused on what he's doing. And I said, I don't know that he likes us talking about his dance moves. And the other night, Friday night, we were wishing you luck. I was like, hey, let's send Will a video. And we're doing stupid dance moves in the lobby of the waiting room of a restaurant there. Oh my goodness, man. That made me that makes me laugh. But it was just such a joyful like reaction when you follow and you start catching them, and you did this just a little down. We're like, what? Hang on. Because we hadn't seen that out of you. We always see you positive and upbeat, breaking down what you're doing. And then we saw this, that you were over the moon excited, and you hit that little dance, and we're like, hang on. Will's got moves. And we don't know what it is. I probably need to go back and look at that footage. You do too, from you following. We'll just or you know what? Become a marketing genius. Make up some dance moves, right? Like make it up and say, ladies and gentlemen, do a video on Instagram. This is the Harky.
This is the Harky.
Do it. Do that. Teach me how to Harky.
Yeah.
Love it, man.
Go over well.
We appreciate you embracing our stupidity. Dude, we got to talk about bass fishing for 5 hours. Sometimes there's lulls. Like yesterday, you started the show with fireworks for an hour, and then nobody got a bite for like 4 hours, other than Brock Biela caught a lot of catfish. And it was just, no joke, yesterday after 9 a.m., 9:30, it was a day in the studio. We were talking about all kind of nonsense we shouldn't have been for a long time, because there was nothing else to talk about. And we just kept, because it was the opposite for you on day 2, and we kept talking about that. You didn't get on it early at all on day 2. You had on day 1 a little bit after the fog delay. But at 11 o'clock, dude, it's like we pull up on you, and it was so funny. We hadn't checked in with you in a while, and our director Andy said, "Hey, who do you guys want to go to?" And all the cameras are numbered. And I threw your number up. So go to Will. We haven't been on Will in a while. Let's check in with him. And right when we go to you live, you're like begging. It was that big largemouth, and I'm like, of course, mocking them through the glass and the control. gotcha. Told you we need to be on wheel. And then you went on a tear. Like it was like, okay, sit right here for a while, guys. So but you started the show. We had not gone live, and they had to bank all those catches. And we did this Will Harkins highlight reel really to start the show.
Yeah.
And then it was like, maybe we shouldn't have burned through all that because now nobody's catching anything.
Nothing for a while. Yeah.
It was excruciating.
Yeah, that's how it had been every day. Yeah, outside of the second day we kind of caught them, somewhat consistent all day. But yeah, that last day it was brutal. Catching 12 pounds real early like that. I was like, dude, these are the days that you've got to have to win one.
No doubt.
I was rolling through my mind trying to temper those emotions a little bit. But then when you go 4 or 5 hours without a bite, you start second guessing everything.
It's creeping in a little bit. We saw that through live. And listen, live's not only just about watching guys blast a bunch of bass. For us, I love watching the decision making. I love watching the techniques, obviously, but I love the story. I love the storyline. I like watching, how people overcome that adversity in the back of their mind, like creeping in. Cause I've been a tournament angler since I was a kid. And those thoughts happen 19 different times during every day. Even if you got 25 pounds, you're like, I don't know. Is it enough? Is it not enough? I don't know. And especially if you're not getting bit, you're like, I don't know. Maybe I gave this thing away. And you can tell late with you for sure. That was the case. But we were sitting there watching the Way Live tracker going, he doesn't have anything to worry about. But 3 more hours after we went off live of fishing, we didn't know how that was going to shake. So,
and what's funny is not 2 minutes after I gave the camera guy away, I could still see the boat. We caught like 6 in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, I was
I was going to ask that you did catch more after live.
Yeah. I might have made 1 or 2 little coals, nothing major, but yeah, we caught a lot of fish that evening.
Okay. So it did fire up, and of course we missed it. Of course, see, Brad Fuller, that's why we got to go live till 3 p.m. That's what I say. Let's just do the whole thing. Cat and I we can sleep when we're dead. We'll just go live all day. I'm here for it. So I want to end with this. I want to ask you this because before we hit the big red record button here. You said, man, I didn't even know I knew this many people. When you light up the fishing world, you've heard from a lot of people. Mm-hmm. What's the most surprising, but like, have you heard from like a one of your fishing heroes? Have you been surprised that somebody was like, hey, Will Harkins, I'm watching and congrats? Have you been blown away by like one specific?
Man, it's been, I haven't even been through them all. So I couldn't tell you. But yesterday I did get a little geeked out. We were staging for the top 10, and Kyle Welcher was behind me. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go meet him. Yeah. So I got I did go a little geeked out.
Yeah, man.
So that was cool. And then he came up after the trophy and all. So that was cool. I mean, just so many of them. The Wes Logans, Kyle Welchers, Todd Goads. I mean. David Williams, all these guys came up, and I'm like,
like this a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of make you're floating around a little bit. Like, is this really happening right now? That's, man, that does my heart good hearing that. That's awesome. Wes Logan, actually, I made a post about, kind of wrapping up the event that you had won. And Wes Logan said, that young man's going to be taking our money for a long, long time. And I'm like, I consider Wes Logan a young man, so it's funny to hear him say that. I guess he's now getting old. Wes Logan, but it's got to make you feel good, man. Got the year going again, and not to put any pressure on you though, because you are now. This would be your 5th top 10 in a row with a win. But Todd Goad, he made it 7 top 10s in a row. Yeah. Paul came back to play again in 2024, and this year, all you newcomers to the MPFL, you might not be newcomers to professional bass fishing, but you better watch Will Harkins and Todd Goad this year.
Yeah, I've got about 40 years to catch up to him, though. So
man, he got some time. He's fishing out of his mind right now. I've known Todd for a long, long time, and he's a veteran tournament angler. Dude, he is just making all the right moves, and it's fun to watch. But he texted me last night. He goes, hey, Duncan, in case you're not paying attention to the stats, that's 7 top 10s in a row. I said, I'm watching, Todd.
Oh yeah, I think everyone is.
Oh, no doubt, man, because it was so strange not having him in the top 10 on camera most of the event, which we had him day one on a bonus cam, but just because last year was just the Todd Goad show for the most part, but he's right back in the saddle. Any predictions for Lake Amistad before we go? You got obviously I'd say that's you haven't been there very many times. It's not you can't get there from my house in Tennessee. I know you can't get there from Georgia. It's a long ways, but any thoughts going into that at all, or have you started prep?
No, I haven't done anything for it. I mean, just off the top of my head, early March, Texas, probably going to be some sort of spawn tournament. I hate the spawn. I hate bad fishing. I hate largemouth. So,
and he wins. I'm going to play this clip back if you win.
Yeah.
You also hated cranking in muddy water. 4 days ago, bud.
I just want to throw a drop shot around, get them offshore, Yeah, this is all new to me. So, I don't know. I don't have very high hopes for that one. But we'll see. I guess there's only 25 people, so the worst I can do is 25th. So I'm excited to get there, kind of not for the drive, but to get there. So it's about 20 hours or so from here.
The poke.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know. It'll be a cool atmosphere. That just 25 guys. I think they've got a lot of stuff planned. So I'm excited just for the atmosphere more than anything.
It's gonna be a really good week. And I mean, 25 guys, you get paid for showing up, no entry fee, and it's a 1 in 25 chance at 100K again, 2 tournaments in a row. My money's on Will Harkins. Don't tell all the other guys I said that, but my money's on Will Harkins. Will Harkins, I appreciate you. Tell everybody where all the low-lifers, if you are not following this young man, shame on you, but go ahead, give them where they can find you on all the social medias.
Yeah, for sure. Will Harkins and Will Harkins Fishing, Instagrams, Facebook. I've got a guide page at getfishingguide.com. None of that Snapchat or TikTok stuff. I need to think about YouTube a little bit, but for now, that's the 2.
Okay. Y'all go follow him. And Will, I appreciate you taking time out to do this. Will Harkins, everybody.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. That's all she wrote with Will Harkins. I appreciate him taking time out of his schedule. I know his phone's been blowing up, and he got right back with me about doing some LBL, and I'm sure it hasn't even really sunk in yet what all he has accomplished. But he's a humble young man, but he is fishing with a confidence that is completely terrifying. The only thing I can compare it to right now is like the Kyle Welcher run or Todd Goad when it comes to the MPFL. Dude he's just fishing free, making all the right decisions, and he's 22 years old. And a great young man to boot. So definitely a face and name you're going to want to remember in the sport of bass fishing for many years to come. And I hope that you low-lifers enjoyed that as much as I did. Each and every week I enjoy it. Y'all know that. I absolutely love getting to do this. And because of getting to meet people like a Will Harkins. I've made so many lifelong friends through this deal, whether it's actual, low-lifers or professional anglers, so many others. Such an awesome experience here each and every week, and I'm thankful y'all tune in. Bassmaster Classic is coming up. It's coming up. Mark it on your calendars. If you're going to be around Tulsa, so am I. We will be hanging out at the Hunt Club. That's where it's going down. The Hunt Club, Saturday night of the Classic. I don't even know the date. I think it's like the 20-something of March. But we're planning a big throwdown, so you better be there. Lots of announcements going to go on that night, planning some big things, and it's going to be a packed house. I'll assure you of that if it's anything like the last few LBL lives have been. And I'm bringing the big guns this year, so you're going to want to make plans early, ladies and gentlemen. Looking forward to that. All right, I'm going to take you out with some Biloxi Blues, and then I'm going to see y'all next week. Oh, ABT this week, Alabama Bass Trail down there at Lake Jordan, the Alabama Bass Trail Team Series South Division. Got 2 ABTs back-to-back, busy, but all good in the hood, all fun as well. But y'all tune in, Alabama Bass Trail on Facebook and on their website there with Miss K. And I will see y'all next week.
I never could make it
See ya.
last. Spanish moss and Civil War ghosts, well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest. This highway, it does not know my name, and I don't care, no, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.